WWE produced a second edition of their 365 series, and this episode is about AJ Styles. The first one was about Kevin Owens. I really enjoyed the first episode of 365, even though it was produced a year ago. It's hard to remember. I really enjoyed it, and I guess these things are a lot harder to make than the 24 episodes because you basically have to follow the wrestler for an entire year for all the arenas, so it's a lot harder to produce. But I've heard a lot of good things about that, and I'm sure it'll be just as good as the KO one, maybe even better. So Michael Rappaport's doing the narration of this documentary. He's talking about AJ, his previous run before WWE, 15 years throughout TNA, throughout all the Ring of Honor, New Japan. It's interesting they're actually showing TNA footage in WWE. It's weird hearing Mike Tenay's voice like in a WWE show. It's still strange. Looks like they avoided having Don West's voice on, thank God. So they do more, it's kind of like a whole music video with this Imagine Dragon song, but it takes like 3 minutes, and now the actual documentary starts. So it looks like we're starting at TLC 2017 when he faced Finn Balor in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's interesting because I thought last year with Kevin Owens, they went from SummerSlam to SummerSlam. Here, I guess they're probably going to go from this October, and then when he beats Jinder, probably until he loses to Daniel Bryan. So they really put over the match they had. He had a Balor. Now the next destination is Manchester, England on November 7th, 2017. I believe this is where he wins the title from Jinder. So when he gets the belt, he's obviously very happy. And actually, I think I made a mistake. I think the show is going to end before he loses to Daniel Bryan because I think when they showed him at the beginning at SmackDown 1000, so I'm assuming it goes from TLC to SmackDown 1000 from this year. So their destination is now Houston, Texas for Survivor Series' match at Brock. So AJ, he's obviously talking about how he's, it's unfortunate he has to be away from his kids for so long. He has 4 kids. He has a wife at home, so that's obviously very difficult. And he said he had to be on the road for a month straight. That's insanity. So it shows wife Wendy. She's talking about his match with Brock at Survivor Series from last year. So they talk about Brock's match with AJ at Survivor Series, and I think I really know, I've read, is Brock Lesnar has already a lot of respect for AJ Styles, so he gave him a lot. And that doesn't really surprise me because Brock Lesnar, as much as he gets, he's the guy no one, he doesn't give a shit. I don't think he gives a shit when he's wrestling a guy he doesn't respect. And he clearly has a lot of respect for AJ Styles, and he clearly has a lot of respect for Daniel Bryan. He respects Samoa Joe. He respects Roman Reigns. He does respect guys. CM Punk, when he had that great match with CM Punk, he has respect for a lot of guys, but there's the guys who I think he's not interested in, and I think that's when he just completely phones it in. But yeah, they had a great match. Really cool moment seeing Paul Heyman really put over AJ, and he clearly meant every word. Next destination is Gainesville, Georgia. So this I think is probably like a host show or something on a Wednesday. So AJ, they show him spending time with his kids. He has 3 boys and 1 daughter, Annie. We saw Annie and Amy during the SummerSlam match with Samoa Joe. They did all that build up, but Annie's the 4th youngest. He has 3 older boys. All of them are into sports. They're all football players, I think. So we keep going forward. You can clearly tell the road schedule's getting to him. And it's interesting because I heard rumors right now he's having a bit of a contract dispute with WWE. He wants lesser dates. He wants more of the Randy Orton schedule, which he can spend more time with his family. The problem is Randy Orton's been with the company since 2002. AJ's been there since 2016. So it's going to be tough to get that, even though he really deserves it. So I don't know how it's going to work out. So they go to Philly. Well, they didn't actually show Philadelphia. It's they showed highlights of him beating Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in that handicap match in Royal Rumble. A very forgettable match. Yeah, I remember going into that show and in my prediction, I was thinking to myself, holy shit, it's AJ, it's Kevin and Sami. They're going to have a great match. Even though it was a handicap match, I still thought these guys are going to tear it up. It really was. It was just kind of a forgettable match. So when Nakamura wins the Rumble, that's what they show next, and he challenges AJ. I'm thinking to myself, yes, this is what we finally want. Everyone wanted AJ and Nakamura since last year. Since Nakamura came to the main roster on SmackDown, he made his debut 2 days after WrestleMania 33. I remember thinking to myself, I really want to see AJ Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. Give us that match, WrestleMania 34. I'm set. They're going to build it up. Nakamura wins the Rumble. It was awesome. It was a great Rumble, actually. So he challenges AJ. We're all set for WrestleMania. Such a disappointing feud and such a disappointing match. One of the worst feuds of the year, and that match was a major disappointment. It wasn't a horrible match, I think. It was just such a disappointment. So the first match they had was at Wrestle Kingdom 10 in January of 2016, the January 4th Tokyo Dome show. It was a phenomenal match. It was amazing. It was an amazing match. It was just when they had that match at WrestleMania, it was such a disappointment. So our next destination is New Orleans. I'm sure we'll have this will be a big chunk of it. It's WrestleMania week. I think this is the first time we really get to see WrestleMania week in full force in a WWE documentary. Since, it's weird. Whenever they do these 24s or these 365s, almost all of them are filmed during WrestleMania time, or most of them at least are filmed during WrestleMania time. There's one that's about WrestleMania, but the majority of them all take place around Mania. So that's always hottest season, and we'll see a lot here. I'm interested in seeing how the reaction is to the match, which I'm really looking forward to. Not showing the match, how they react to the match, because it was disappointing. I wonder how Vince will think, because I remember last year they showed on the documentary, he was pissed off at Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for their match. I thought they had a decent match. And AJ Nakamura, we'll see. Maybe this is the kind of match he was happy with. We'll see. Kind of cool seeing him interact with fans. There was one girl wearing a Paige jacket. I think she's from England. She was like bawling her eyes out meeting AJ. They show him at WrestleMania. They show him interacting with Daniel Bryan. They show him shaking Jeff Jarrett's hand. I don't know if there was ever heat with him and Jeff. I think it was him and Dixie Carter and Tina. I don't think there was anything with Jeff. So I don't know if Jeff Jarrett and AJ ever have any, I'm not sure about that. They show him during, getting to the WrestleMania stage, which didn't touch the year before. WrestleMania 33 stage with the giant roller coaster. Blew away 34 stage with like the giant Mardi Gras themed, set, the Mardi Gras mask that kind of looks like a giant Oscar mask. The year before, that 33 set blew it out of the water. They're showing the highlights of the match. They made it look like a lot more epic than it really was. Really, I won't stop saying I was really disappointed watching that match. That feud sucked. Might have been the worst feud of the year. Such a disappointing match, major disappointing feud. Such a letdown. All they showed from feedback from the match was AJ Styles with this kid on his cell phone, like a Snapchat, and they were making fun of him missing his 450 splash. They didn't show Vince, how he interacted. They didn't show Nakamura backstage. They didn't show Triple H. They didn't show how anyone reacted to the match, because it probably wasn't very positive. That's disappointing to even show that. So that's kind of it. For the WrestleMania stuff, they just fast forward to Tokyo, and I guess we're done with the whole AJ Nakamura feud now. So they show AJ Styles in Tokyo, him seeing the sights. It makes me I really want to go there when they show everything. They show the Tokyo Dome. They show the whole city. Japan's one of the nicest countries in the world. Really nice city. And I don't know who he's wrestling for sure on the show, but I don't know if he's wrestling Nakamura again, but they're showing him reminiscing about Japan. He makes a comment, which I agree with. Had he when he left TNA, had he not gone to Japan, I don't think he'd be in WWE. I think WWE signed him because of what he did in Japan. I kind of like they show him going to this video game store in Japan. He really wants to buy the Jaguar. They show him Gallows and Anderson visiting Tokyo. So I actually really like the stuff in Tokyo. It's really good. So yeah, not much happening, not much drama. I think last year with Owens was a lot more drama. So AJ does in fact buy the Jaguar. AJ is wrestling Samoa Joe on this show. And he revealed he had a torn hamstring. I don't know when he did it, but he did have a torn hamstring this year. His pay-per-view matches weren't that great this year compared to the previous 2 years. Maybe that's one of the reasons, because of a torn hamstring. They show AJ in the doctor's office with this torn hamstring, and the doctor's putting pressure on the hamstring. Man, it looks painful. That looks so fucking painful, and AJ's just in pain. Oh, that looks brutal. Now they're in Orlando, and I guess they're going to talk a lot about TNA. AJ's run in Orlando with TNA when they used to have the Impact Zone. That was in Orlando, Florida, and they'd have TV there every single week. This is actually really cool. They're showing AJ Styles go back to the Impact Zone with Jeremy Borash. That's actually really cool. I'm surprised you'd see this in the WWE documentary. They're showing AJ when he first won the X Division title. It's yeah. I think I'd like to see him talk a little bit more about TNA and his whole run there and all the stuff that went down near the end, because it did go down pretty damn bad. And I think the way TNA ended motivated him to go to New Japan. I think that's where he ended up in the WWE. It's like everything that happened kind of ended up being really successful, ended up being for the best. So they show AJ and Joe in TNA, and for one last time, who could forget whenever Impact was on, like in 2008, 2009, there was this whole, young guys versus the main event Mafia, and I remember every single week it would be like Foley or Rhino or somebody on the damn microphone saying, guys who built this company, guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. Every single fucking week they'd say that. That always sticks up with me, so that drove me nuts. It made me not want to watch it. Just repeat it over and over. Guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. So guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe are wrestling at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship, and that's where they're transitioning to that next part. Next destination is Brooklyn for SummerSlam week. So they show AJ with Annie and his wife Wendy. Did I call her Amy earlier? I made a mistake. It's Wendy and Annie. They don't show any of the kids. I think this one's to show the girl because it would get more shock value. Maybe a little girl rather than like 3 kids. Like in how old are they? And teenagers, early teens, something like that. I guess it'd be more effective to show a little girl with her mom. There was actually a really nice moment, not really nice, kind of sad, but when after the match with Joe at SummerSlam, it was a really cute moment. That's what I meant to say. AJ's daughter says, "Daddy, you're bleeding." I thought that were like laughing when I saw that at SummerSlam. Next destination is Super Showdown in Melbourne, Australia. October 6th, we're nearing the end. So they skip forward past Melbourne. I guess they're done with Melbourne. After Melbourne, I guess they're not going to show the match with Samoa Joe in Saudi Arabia. They're just going to skip that. So, I might be past the year date anyway. So, next destination is 360. They're in Washington, D.C. for SmackDown 1000. This is where the documentary started. I think this probably is our last destination. So they're just showing SmackDown 1000, some of the legends backstage. I'm actually interested if WWE decides to do a 24 and with SmackDown 1000. They probably will. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they do a 24. They did one for Raw 25, but Raw 25 was a much bigger show than SmackDown 1000. So the documentary just ends with him at another Imagine Dragons music video. It's kind of uneventful. There's no really drama. I thought that Kevin Owens documentary was a lot better because there was a lot of drama, more like adversity. Here, just kind of him just smoothing and sailing around. WrestleMania, Tokyo, Japan. Nothing really like dramatic happens. No like a wrestling storyline happens. But the documentary was fine. I wish they'd produce more of it. I think they should produce more of these, even though it's really hard to, because to follow someone for a whole year is pretty difficult. They briefly show at the end his loss to Daniel Bryan. But that was about it. That's all they really showed from his loss. It basically ends like 365 is he's still champ after a whole year. So I enjoyed the documentary. I'd give it a thumbs up. And not a great documentary, but I found it entertaining. And I really enjoyed their WWE's network documentaries where it's 24 or 365. These are always really good. And this was definitely it's definitely a good documentary on AJ Styles.